Europe, and good morning to our partner, the one I'm just going to interview now, and I hope we will see her very soon. A very warm welcome to you, Sahej, in California.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everybody. Okay, so I'm talking, maybe you spell your name yourself, because we had some discussions how you spell your name.
Yeah, so my name is spelled Sahej. It's a Punjabi name, so.
Okay, great. You are a student, and this is very similar to our participants. You're a student, but you are maybe studying on the coolest place that anybody could imagine, on Stanford University in California. And you're there at a very peculiar place. What are you exactly doing there?
Yeah, so I'm a third-year undergraduate at Stanford right now. I'm studying management science and engineering, so that's kind of a mix of business, economics, computer science, biology, chemistry. It's a whole combination of things, but that's why I chose the major, is because of how interdisciplinary it is. And then I'm also pre-med, so I'm taking all of our pre-med prerequisites. And once I graduate these 4 years, I'll go to med school afterwards. So.
Okay, this is very interesting. Maybe we should explain it to our European and Austrian students. If you want to study medicine in the United States, you are not going to start studying medicine before you have to do a bachelor in something else. Is this true?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So you can major in anything you want in undergraduate, but you can go ahead and study medicine after, and it's a whole separate application process. It's another 4 years of school and then some years of residency after that, which is like practical work. So.
Okay, so you're studying business and engineering, but your real passion is cooking, as far as I know and I saw. And that's why you're at the Stanford Food Innovation Lab. This sounds fantastic.
Yes.
What is this?
Yeah, so the Stanford Food Design Lab, we're part of the Center for Design Research, which is in the mechanical engineering department. And so we do a lot of qualitative research. So nothing like chemistry, biology, no wet labs, but our research is mainly focused on interviews, ethnographic research, which I'm sure you guys will be getting a lot of practice with here. And then we focus on different aspects of the food process. So consumer and also the producer and our latest research project focused on California startups. So we work with quite a variety of people.
Okay, so you are not so much interested in the content and the chemistry of food, you are more interested in the consumers, what they do with the food, how they do the cooking and everything. So what is so fascinating about cooking and the consumers? What did you learn there? What
Yeah,
our listeners could profit from? What's
yeah.
important?
So I think for me, the reason why I was first interested in the lab is because I'm a big believer in experience. So my outlook on food is that everyone has their own very individual experience with it, whether that's a food that you love or a food that you hate for whatever reason, or dislike anywhere on that spectrum. And so that's kind of why I got involved. That's what I was interested in. But a lot of the work that we do centers around kind of industry stuff. So that's where we're more interested in looking at industry trends, just what's happening in the startup scene, what's happening overall with consumer trends, that kind of thing. And so that's what a lot of our recent research has focused on.
Okay, so I mean, Stanford University is in the middle of Silicon Valley. It's between the Apple headquarters in Cupertino and San Francisco, so we're really in the middle, and there must be startups everywhere. So you're every day confronted with some student colleagues starting a startup, or how is it?
Yeah, I think a lot of people make that assumption, and it is an easy assumption to make because that does happen quite often. I will say it's maybe a little bit of an exaggeration. There's not necessarily a vast majority of students who are starting businesses left and right, but it's also if it's something that you do want to do because of the location that we're in and kind of the resources that we have, if you go looking for that, then you can definitely do that. So it's more of I would say the culture is a very kind of take action culture. So if you want to do it, then the norm is people will go out and do whatever they want to do, and to the extent that they want to do it. Not to say that it always works out, but yeah.
Okay. So if an idea, it's go out and test it and try it. In Stanford, it was invented what we are practicing here, the design thinking method. You told me that you have been training your student colleagues in design thinking as well. So what's important about design thinking? What is the hint that you would give to our participants here?
Yeah, so I have experience from design thinking for way back in high school. I was just kind of personally interested in it, and that's when I was actually teaching workshops on it. And I would say the most important thing for me, the piece that always stands out, is the empathy aspect of it. Because another phrase for design thinking is human-centered or user-centered design. So you always
What
want to
is
keep your
empathy?
user.
Oh, sorry. How would you explain empathy? What is this?
Yeah. So in keeping your user at the center of your universe, empathy is being able to understand not only what they're feeling and kind of accepting that, but putting yourself in that situation and feeling those emotions along with your user. So really getting a sense of, as they go through whatever story they're telling you or whatever anecdote they're telling you during your interviews with them, understanding what they're feeling in that moment, and to the point where you're feeling it yourself. So the best way to do that is to keep asking them why. If they give you something that maybe they don't like about a specific beverage or a specific product, ask them why. Get down to that root cause of it, because that's where you'll really get to see the real challenge that you're going to solve.
So the real secret is asking them why, and why again, and why again, and why again, until you get the real reason why they do something or they hate something, maybe. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So you want to ask why as many times as possible and as reasonable, I would say, just to really get at the root cause that I mentioned. Because again, you want to understand not only what they're feeling, but how they're feeling, and putting yourself in their shoes, and then getting down to why they're feeling that. And it may not seem like a huge thing in the moment, but trust me, later on when you go to narrow down your challenge problem, it's a huge help. So.
Yeah, great. Okay, so the challenge that my company is giving to these students here is healthy people, healthy planet. Let's talk about healthy people. I mean, everybody knows how to live healthy, do some sports, don't eat too much, eat a lot of vegetables. But if you look what everybody's actually doing, it might be true for you and me as well. It's often far away from health. How should we convince people to live more healthy? How can we do that? And
Yeah,
what is
I
the
think
problem? What is the barrier against it?
yeah, I think that's a huge question, and there are many possible answers to it. Just because of obviously like the culture in America around exercising and even processed food is different from the culture in Europe and the culture in other parts of the world. So I think that's a huge piece of it for me, is just the culture and the understanding of health and the way that people talk about their personal health. Something that I've noticed with our healthcare here, and maybe this is true in other countries as well, is that a lot of what individuals do with their health is reactive. So they wait for something to go wrong and then they go and fix it, versus proactive, where they are doing those things like exercising and eating healthy, and maybe that includes probiotics, maybe that includes really regular checkups at your doctor's office. I think our system is not set up to be that way right now, and that's not the way our culture is set up either. So just that mental shift, I think, is a huge piece of it. And so connecting that to food, I think a lot of that comes into the way our food is marketed. And obviously, you don't want to necessarily market something as a health product if it's not, but just kind of shifting your mindset there, into proactively saying, I want to stay healthy rather than I want to become healthy.
Okay. You are living in the Bay Area. This is the hotspot of innovations. All the new cool gadgets that everybody's using, be it real or virtual, is coming from there. Even in food, is a lot of trends are coming from your region. Do you see anything new popping up that might influence the eating habits in the rest of the world as well?
Yeah, I think you guys have probably heard of this by now. It's been around for the past 5 to 7 years at least, I would say. But plant-based foods are a huge thing, and they've been gaining
Plant-based.
popularity.
But that's great because we are juice manufacturers, so we're using plants. But you mean like milk, oat milk, and meat?
Yes,
What
yeah.
else? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, a whole variety of things. I would say some of the some of the products that have gotten the most press recently have been meat. So like Impossible Foods, Beyond Burger, that kind of stuff is actually showing up in fast food restaurants in America, which is a huge shift for us. And so definitely slowly gaining popularity there. There are other products like oat milk that you mentioned. That's definitely my favorite milk to drink. And then there's another product that I learned about a couple years ago, actually called Just Egg, and it's a plant-based egg mixture. So they sell it as if it's like already been cracked and whisked a bit. So you just kind of pour it into a pan, but it's completely plant-based. There's no actual egg inside of it. So.
Okay, so plant is a big trend, but it needs to be very convenient as well.
Mhm.
And I think this is one of the other issues on our topic of healthy people, healthy planet, that the more the convenient is the food, the more packaging you normally need. You need a lot of plastic for this fresh fruit, for the fresh juices. What do you experience in this direction? How is plastic and food in your area?
Yeah, I think there's an unfortunate relationship there in America because so much of our fast food and convenience food, like you're saying, has become synonymous with plastic packaging because that's what's convenient for people. It lasts longer. It conceivably takes up less space in your pantry often, and I would say most of the plastic that people are using because it's what's cheap is also not sustainable plastic. So I actually have an example here. So this is some chickpea granola, and the plastic used in this packaging is much more sustainable than the package used on these, which are seaweed snacks. And so this company they kind of designed this intentionally to use quite sustainable plastic, whereas this company are working on redesigning their package so that it's much thinner in the future. So normally seaweed snacks are sitting in a tray like they are here, and so it's quite thick. But they're planning, hopefully, on taking out that tray and just having the seaweed sitting on just within the plastic. So definitely there's progress being made there, but it's not to a point yet where we can definitively say by any means that we've solved the problem. So.
Do you see in the packaging trends or something new in the beverage world?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I would say I have seen glass bottles more frequently, although whether or not those are more sustainable is debatable. I do think that in recent years, with the popularity that Hydro Flask has gained, for example,
Sorry, I
reusable
didn't
water
get that.
bottles. Oh, Hydro Flask, because they've gained popularity in the past few, like 5 to 10 years, I would say, reusable water bottles are becoming more popular, and so I think that does make a difference. And even this is not necessarily drinks that you buy at a grocery store, say, but drinks that you can buy at a Starbucks or a Jamba Juice, which is a smoothie place that we have here. I'm not sure if you guys have that, but they're working on their drinks becoming more sustainable that they sell to people. So again, definitely moves in the right direction, but we're nowhere near where we need to be with everything being 100% or probably even 50% sustainable. So.
Currently, your university is closed due to Corona, so you are studying from home, as we see. But when the university will hopefully start open again, your classmates, what are they drinking? Is it usually everybody's carrying a bottle with him, and what's in there in these bottles? What is trendy to drink in California now? Being a
Yeah, I
student, a
have to.
20-year-old student.
Yeah, I have to think back to what I remember from when I was last in school, which was way back in March. But I would say the most common thing by far for people to carry around is a reusable water bottle. Definitely on Stanford, that's a huge thing. And more often than not, those are not any sort of plastic; they're more glass or metal. But drinks wise, I would say coffee is definitely a popular one, just because it gets students through the day. And then Smoothies, I think, as well, are quite popular. I would say juice maybe a bit less. That's more of an opportune purchase. Say if someone needs a sugar boost or a protein boost, they might choose to buy it with their lunch. But drinks that they're carrying around are mainly, I would say, water and coffee.
Okay, so water. So juice is not as common as it was. So obviously, it's a pity for us. Hopefully, we can do something on this direction, my colleagues. You're a student. You're 20 years old. You're in your third year, and Stanford is, let's say, an epicenter of science as well. Two of your professors got a prize last week. Today, as I read, Gates is on your university and talking about the threat of health and everything. You are going to start medicine as well. Um, and you are already working a little bit into science. How important is it to do science as a student as well? And how important on the other side, some extracurricular activities like doing engagement?
Yeah, I mean, I would say for me at least, it's incredibly important because it's a field that matters to me and something that I think has a lot of relevance to our future. Because with technology, especially if we think about wearable technology, like the Apple Watch, for example, so much of that is based on what engineers can do. But what those engineers can do with regards to your health, that's what's rooted in science. And so obviously, it's definitely not the end all be all of, of what I study because my major is so interdisciplinary. But that's why I think it is an important element there, along with everything else, because science kind of provides you a different way of looking at the world and approaching a problem. It's a much more logical thought process, so to speak, than something like design thinking is. And so, kind of having those two lenses at my disposal, I found is really helpful because it means I can look at a problem and say, okay, for this problem in particular, how do I want to approach it? Do I want to be more creative? Do I want to be more logical? Or do I want a combination of the two?
Yeah, great. Okay. So, trying to find an end and finish it, what would be a very important hint to our teams, what they should take care of in the next 2 days so that the project will be successful?
Yeah, I would say going back to what I mentioned earlier about empathy. So
Yeah.
really putting yourself in the shoes of the person that you're talking to, and not only imagining how they're feeling, but trying to put yourself in that situation is super important because that means that later on, not only are you designing a product or coming up with an idea for them, you're almost doing it for yourself as well because now you've put yourself in that situation. And I think the other huge piece of it is to just keep a really flexible mindset. Design thinking is a very iterative process. It's a very flexible, dynamic process in the sense that you're almost encouraged to fail because that means at that point you know what doesn't work. So a failure is again almost more valuable than a success because you know what to leave out for your future ideas and your future prototypes. So just keeping a really flexible, dynamic mindset moving forward and being willing to try things out. I would say, like I mentioned earlier, Stanford is a very action-oriented place, and so just being willing to hit the ground running, try things out, test it out, without worrying too much about is this going to be feasible? Is this going to work on a larger scale? That kind of thing. Just start out slow, but hit the ground running.
I think that's a very good hint to stay flexible, not to be fixed on one's idea and be willing to kill the beloved ideas that we had. So thank you very much, Sage. We wish
Mhm.
you all the best for your further study, either in economics and in engineering and in medicine as well. And have a lot of fun with cooking and come back to university very soon. And have a nice day today.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you so much. If anyone wants to reach out to me, feel free to look me up on LinkedIn, or my email is floating around on the internet as well. So feel free to reach out. Thank you all so much. I was happy to be here today.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.